I'm so glad that you are here with me today. We are going to do another reading of the wonderful Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets. I hope you guys liked my yesterday Visco teacher look. I thought it was awesome to do. So, all right, very quickly, we left off yesterday with Harry doing his detention with Professor Lockhart. And as he was doing detention, if you remember, he heard this cold kind of hissing voice come and say some kind of scary stuff. Let me see if I can find the exact words. It says, come to me. And then kind of some scary stuff like, let me rip you, let me tear you. So, and Harry asked Professor Lockhart if he had heard it, and Professor Lockhart said he hadn't. So Harry seems to be the only one to hear this voice currently. Okay, so now we are on Chapter 8. It is called The Death Day Party. And you can see there is the cat, and I asked you guys, some of you might know who it is. So we're going to read and see what happens. I hope you enjoy. October arrived, spreading a damp chill over the grounds and into the castle. Madame Pomfrey, the nurse, was kept busy by a sudden spate of colds among the staff and students. Her pepper-up potion worked instantly, though it left the drinkers smoking at the ears for several hours afterward. Ginny Weasley, who had been looking pale, was bullied into taking some by Percy. That steam pouring from under her vivid hair gave the impression that her whole head was on fire. Raindrops the size of bullets thundered on the castle windows for days on end. The lake rose and the flower beds turned into muddy streams, and Hagrid's pumpkins swelled to the size of garden sheds. Oliver Wood's enthusiasm for regular training seasons, however, had not been dampened, which was why Harry was to be found late one stormy Saturday afternoon, a few days before Halloween, returning to Gryffindor Tower drenched to the skin and splattered with mud. Even aside from the rain and wind, it hadn't been a happy practice session. Fred and George, who had been spying on the Slytherin team, had seen for themselves the speed of those new Nimbus 2001s. They reported that the Slytherin team was no more than 7 greenish blurs shooting through the air like missiles. As Harry squelched along the deserted corridor, he came across somebody who looked just as preoccupied as he was. Nearly headless Nick, the ghost of Gryffindor Tower, was staring mercifully out of a window, muttering under his breath, "Don't fulfill the requirements. Half an inch of that." "Hello, Nick," said Harry. Hello, said Nearly Headless Nick, starting and looking around. He wore a dashing, plumed hat on his long curly hair and a tunic with a ruff, which concealed the fact that his neck was almost completely severed. He was pale as smoke, and Harry could see right through him to the dark sky and torrential rain outside. "You look troubled, young Potter," said Nick, folding a transparent letter as he spoke and tucking it inside of his jacket. "So do you," said Harry. "Ah," Nearly Headless Nick waved an elegant hand. "A matter of no importance. It's not as though I really wanted to join. Thought I'd apply, but apparently I don't fulfill the requirements." In spite of his airy tone, there was a look of great bitterness on his face. "But you would think, wouldn't you," he erupted suddenly, pulling the letter back out of his pocket, "that getting hit 45 times in the neck with a blunt axe would qualify you to join the Headless Hunt?" "Oh, yes," said Harry, who was obviously supposed to agree. "I mean, nobody wishes more than I do that all of it had been quite quick and clean and my head had come off properly. I mean, it would have saved me from a great deal of pain and ridicule. However," Nearly Headless Nick shook open his letter and read furiously, "we can only accept huntsmen whose heads have been parted completely with their bodies. You will appreciate that it would be impossible otherwise for members to participate in hunt activities, such as horseback head juggling and head polo. It is with the greatest regret, therefore, that I must inform you that you do not fulfill our requirements. With the very best wishes, Sir Patrick Delaney Podmore." Fuming, Nearly Headless Nick stuffed the letter away into his jacket. "Half an inch of skin and sinew holding on my neck, Harry. Most people would think that's good and beheaded, but oh no, it's not enough for Sir Properly Decimated Podmore." Nearly Headless Nick took several deep breaths, and then said in a far calmer tone, "So, what's been bothering you? Anything I can do?" "No," said Harry, "not unless you know where we can get 7 free Nimbus 2001s for our match against The rest of Harry's sentence was drowned out by a high-pitched mewling from somewhere near his ankles. He looked down and found himself gazing into a pair of lamp-like yellow eyes. It was Mrs. Norris. the skeletal gray cat who was used by the caretaker, Argus Flinch, as a sort of deputy in his endless battle against students. "You'd better get out of here, Harry," said Nick quickly. "Filch isn't in a good mood. He's got the flu, and some third years excuse me, students, and some third years accidentally plastered frog brains all over the ceiling in Dungeon 5. He's been cleaning all morning, and if he sees you dripping mud all over the place—" "Right," said Harry, backing away from the accusing stare of Mrs. Norris, but not quickly enough. Drawn to the spot by the mysterious power that seemed to connect him with his foul cat, Mr. Filch burst suddenly through a tapestry to Harry's right, wheezing and looking wildly about for the rule breaker. There was a thick tartan scarf bound around his head, and his nose was unusually purple. "Filth!" he shouted, his jowls a-quiver, his eyes poppingly alarming as he pointed at the muddy pile that had dribbled from Harry's Quidditch robes. "Mess and muck everywhere! I've had enough of it, I tell you! Follow me, Potter!" So Harry waved a gloomy goodbye to nearly headless Nick and followed Filch back downstairs, doubling the number of muddy footprints on the floor. Harry had never been inside Filch's office before, and it was a place most students tried to avoid. The room was dingy and windowless, lit by a single oil lamp dangling from the low ceiling. A faint smell of fried fish lingered about the place. Wooden filing cabinets stood around the wall from their labels. Harry could see that they contained details of every pupil Filch had ever punished. Fred and George Weasley had an entire drawer to themselves. A highly polished collection of chains and manacles hung on the wall behind Filch's desk. It was common knowledge that he was always begging Dumbledore to let him suspend students by their ankles hanging from the ceiling. Filch grabbed a quill from his pot on his desk and began shuffling around looking for parchment. "Dang!" he muttered furiously. "Great sizzling dragon bogies, frog brains, rat intestines, I've had enough of it! Make an example, where's the form? Yes!" He retrieved a large roll of parchment from his desk drawer and stretched it out in front of him, dipping his long back quill into the ink pot. "Name, Harry Potter! Crime!" "It was only a bit of mud," said Harry. "It's only a bit of mud to you, boy, but to me it's an extra hour of scrubbing," shouted Filch, a drip shivering unpleasantly at the end of his bulbous nose. "Crime! Befouling the castle suggested sentence!" Dabbling at his streaming nose, Filch squinted unpleasantly at Harry, who waited with bated breath for his sentence to fall. But as Filch lowered his quill, there was a great bang on the ceiling in his office, which made the oil lamp rattle. "Pigs!" Filch roared, flinging down his quill in a transport of rage. "I'll have you this time! I'll have you!" And without a backward glance at Harry, Filch ran flat-footed from the office, Mrs. Norris streaking alongside him. Peeves was the school poltergeist, a grinning airborne menace who lived to cause havoc and distress. Harry didn't much like Peeves, but he couldn't help but feeling a little grateful this time. Hopefully, whatever Peeves had done, and it sounded as though he'd wrecked something very big this time, would distract Filch from Harry. Thinking what he should probably wait for Filch to come back, Harry sank into a moth-eaten chair next to the desk. There was only one thing on it apart from its half-completed form. A large, glossy, purple envelope with silver lettering on the front. With a quick glance at the door to check that Filch wasn't on his way back, Harry picked up the envelope. A correspondence course in beginner's magic. Intrigued, Harry flipped open the envelope and pulled out the sheaf of parchment inside. More curly, silvery writing was on the front, and it said, "Fell out of step in the world of modern magic, found yourself making excuses not to perform simple spells? Ever been taunted for your wand work? There is the answer. Quick Spell is an all-new fail-safe, quick result, easy-learn course. Hundreds of witches and wizards have benefited from the Quick Spell. Madam Z. Nettles of Trosmith writes, I have no memory for incantations, and my potions were a family joke. Now, after a Quick Spell course, I am the center of attention of parties, and friends beg for the recipes of my solutions." And then it goes on, it gives other examples. Fascinated, Harry thumbed through the rest of the envelope's contents. Why on earth did Filch want a Quick Spell course? Did this mean he wasn't a proper wizard? Harry was just reading Lesson 1, Holding Your Wand, Some Useful Tips, when shuffling footsteps outside told him Filch was coming back. Stuffing the parchment back into the envelope, Harry threw it back onto the desk just as the door opened. Filch was looking triumphant. "That vanishing cabinet was extremely valuable," he was saying gleefully to Mrs. Norris. "We'll have Peeves out this time, my sweet." His eyes fell on Harry and then darted to the quick spell envelope, which Harry realized late was lying 2 feet away from where it had started. Filch's pasty face went brick red. Harry braced himself for a tidal wave of fury. Filch hobbled across to the desk, snatched up the envelope, and threw it into a drawer. Did you read? He sputtered. No, Harry lied quickly. Filch's knobby hands were twisting together. If I thought you'd read my private, not that it's mine, for a friend, but that as it may. However, Harry was staring at him alarmed. Filch had never looked so madder. His eyes were popping. A tick was going on in his pouchy cheeks, and the tartan scarf didn't help. Very well, go, and don't breathe a word. Not that. However, if you didn't read, go now, I have to write up Peeves. Report, go. Amazed at his luck, Harry sped out of the office, up the corridor, and back upstairs. To escape from Filch's office without punishment was probably some kind of a school record. Harry, did it work? Nearly Headless Nick came gliding out of the classroom. Behind him, Harry could see the wreckage of a large black and gold cabinet that appeared to have dropped from a great height. I persuaded Peeves to crash it right over Filch's office, said Nick eagerly. Thought it might distract him. Was that you? Said Harry gratefully. Yeah, it worked. I didn't even get detention. Thanks, Nick. They set off up the corridor together. Nearly Headless Nick, Harry noticed, was still holding Sir Patrick's rejection letter. I wish there was something I could do for you about the Headless Hunt, Harry said. Nearly Headless Nick stopped in his tracks, and Harry walked right through him. He wished he hadn't. It was like stepping through an icy shower. But there is something you could do for me, said Nick excitedly. Harry, would I be asking too much? But no, you wouldn't want. What is it? Said Harry. Well, this Halloween will be my 500th death day, said Nearly Headless Nick, drawing himself up and looking dignified. Oh, said Harry, not sure whether he should look sorry or happy about this. Right? I'm holding a party in one of the roomier dungeons. Friends will be coming from all over the country, and it'd be such an honor if you would attend, Mr. Weasley. Mr. Weasley and Miss Granger would be most welcome too, of course. But I desire you'd rather go to the school feast. He watched Harry on tenterhooks. No, said Harry quickly, I'll come. My dear boy, Harry Potter at my death day party. And, he hesitated, looking excited, do you think you could possibly mention to Sir Patrick how very frightening and impressive you find me? Of course, said Harry. Nearly Headless Nick beamed at him. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So Harry has managed to avoid detention from Filch. Like I said, we're about to come up to some exciting stuff here that will be happening inside of Hogwarts. So, 4th graders, I'm glad you got to join me for today. This was a long chapter, but we'll be about to finish with Chapter 8 and move on to Chapter 9. If you would like, I believe there is a clip you can watch on this if you go into YouTube and type in Harry talking to Nearly Headless Nick. I think you might have to go through a couple of them, but you should find it on there. So, know that I love all you 4th graders. I'm missing you all. I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the rest of Chapter 8. Bye, friends.